Okay, time for a new video. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. This is yet another Eurovision 2025 related video here on my channel, and another sort of reaction video as well, because right now I'm about to listen to snippets of all of the songs in contention for Germany with regards to the upcoming edition of the ESC, which as we all know will take place this May in Basel, Switzerland. As always, you're welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. I would also like to remind you that within 24 hours or so of this video going up on my channel, it is my intention to film a Q&A video. If you would like me to answer any questions you might have, Eurovision related or otherwise, please go to a recent video I uploaded. It's fairly short, titled Q&A Announcement. Leave your questions there in the comments section. I will see them, and if they're not too personal, then I will answer them in that upcoming Q&A video. Thank you to everybody who has left questions so far. So let's focus on Germany, their national final, of which there has already been 3 shows, and there's one more to go. It's called Chefsache ESC 2025, Versinkt für Deutschland. We had 2 heats on February the 14th and 15th, and the semi-final, which concluded a short time ago, at the time of this recording you're watching now, on February the 22nd. It says here that in each of the 2 heats, 12 of the 24 competing artists performed. A maximum of 14 acts were selected to proceed to the semi-final. The semi-final did indeed involve 14 names, and 9 acts came through that semi-final a short time ago, and therefore we will hear their tracks again in the grand final, which will take place on March the 1st. It also says here that the results of the heats and the semi-final shows are determined by an expert jury. In the final, it is entirely public voting, which is very interesting. There doesn't seem to be a great deal of consistency here whatsoever, and as I've said in a previous video, in the heats, the artists did not perform their Eurovision candidate entry. They performed either a cover song or a song from their back catalogue. So some of the artists were eliminated without even getting the chance to perform their possible Eurovision track. And for all we know, and I'm sure the songs are probably available somewhere by now, these artists who were eliminated early on probably had something really great for Eurovision lined up. They just never got to perform it. I think that's very, very strange, and should this national final format remain moving forwards for Germany, they'll need to change that moving forwards. Anyway, the lineup did see the following names eliminated on February the 14th and 15th. They were Fanny, Chase, Any May and Paradigm, Equatu, Janine, Adina, Nika, Noah Levi, Parallel, and Vincent Varus. In the semi-final, we had Nightclub by Feuerschwanz, who I'm already saying are the ones to beat, especially in a 100% public vote final. Like You Love Me by Benjamin Bratz. If Jesus Saw What We Did Last Night by Cloudy June, which was getting a little bit of hype I saw on social media, but it's out. I'm Still Here by Cosby. Weg von dir by Jaln, also out. Take the Pain Away by From Fall to Spring, also eliminated. Golden Child by Jonathan Henrik, that's out as well. Then we have a string of qualifiers. Baller, or Baller, is probably Baller, by Abor and Tina. This Bliss by Leonora. Empress by Julika. Lovers on Mars by Liza. Nothing Can Stop Love by Moss Kenner. These Days by the Great Leslie, bit of British interest there. And then we have another song that missed out, Golden Hour by Cage. We will find out the grand final running order in due course. Now, I've not heard anything at all really from what Germany has lined up. I've heard a tiny bit of Feuerschwanz's track, and I've heard a tiny bit of Abor and Tina's track. Everything else I don't really have a clue, but all of these songs are out now. I've no idea really who the favourite might be, but as I just said, I'm going to assume Feuerschwanz are going to be the ones to beat in a 100% public vote final. As for Germany, well, they've competed more times than any other country in the history of the Eurovision Song Contest, only missing out in 1996 because of that strange qualification round that took place ahead of the Oslo competition that year. They've won twice in the early 80s, in Harrogate of all places, with Nicole and Ein bisschen Frieden, A Little Peace, a song that is still very poignant to this day, if not more so than it was back then. And also with Lena in 2010 and Satellite, performed in Oslo, and she's gone on to have a very successful career indeed. And of course she came back to try and win again the following year in Dusseldorf, and I think she finished 10th or 11th, something like that. Anyway, if we take a look at Germany's form over the past decade, it's been pretty shite, in all honesty. It's not been great, but one good entry can really turn your fortunes around. Unless you're the UK, you have somebody like Sam Ryder and then pretty much go back to square one. But anyway, one good result can, make people feel a bit more positive about the contest, I suppose, in whichever country it is. In 2015, Anne-Sophie, who wasn't supposed to go to Eurovision, but there was that little iffy moment at the end of the national final that year. Andreas Kummert, he didn't want to go, so Anne-Sophie went instead with Black Smoke, and she finished last in the final in Vienna with 0 points, joint last with Austria, which was very surprising because it wasn't a bad song or a bad performance, but it is what it is, In 2016, we had Jamie Lee with Ghost. She was on The Voice in Germany. I think she won it, and she was wearing this very interesting attire, and I think that put a lot of people off. The song itself, I really don't mind it. Just sort of meandered along. There wasn't really much to the staging. She finished last. In 2017, we had Levina with Perfect Life. Ultra dull staging. Pretty unmemorable track. Finished in the bottom 2. In 2018, we had Michael Schulte. And he was absolutely fantastic. And the performance was really touching and not too over the top. And the message of the song came through, which is really important, whether it's a ballad or an up-tempo track. And that's absolutely one of my favourite German entries of my lifetime, I would say. And the result was very nice to see. Then in 2019 we had Sisters, who weren't actually sisters with Sister. And I was very harsh about that song at first, because I just thought that it was incredibly bland, uninteresting, any other synonym you can think of. But actually, several years down the line, I don't mind it. Thought the performance was okay. In 2020 we had Ben Dolic with Violent Thing. He would have done well, no doubt about it, but sadly he did not come back in 2021. Germany went for Jendrik with I Don't Feel Hate, which never really stood much of a chance, and definitely not one of Germany's finest. No surprise, he finished right near the bottom. In 2022 we had Malik Harris with Rockstars. Fairly forgettable stuff. The result was no surprise. Last place. In 2023 we had Lord of the Lost with Blood and Glitter. This was really good live. It really stood out, and it was something a little bit different. Germany taking a bit of a risk. Sadly it didn't pay off, but in my opinion they absolutely did not deserve to finish last in Liverpool, but it is what it is. I'm rambling big time. And then last year we had Isaac with Always on the Run, and he did very well in the jury vote and not terribly with the public either, and Germany got their best result for several years. So can they now ride the wave in the right direction, if you see what I mean, and push on further? Well, I'm about to check out the songs, and you can tell that it's pretty late at night because I'm talking absolute trash. Here we go. ESC Marco. I've got his video loaded up and ready to go. But firstly, Mr. Eurovision recaps. This is a recap of the semi-final. And like I said a short time ago, I've not really heard anything here. So I'm going to get my notebook and we will see if Germany really do mean business this year, or another disappointing result is coming their way. Here we go. What I'm watching won't be in the bottom corner of the video you're watching. That's the way it usually is, but you might have seen this video by now anyway, and you might be a lot more familiar with the songs than I am. Here we go. Germany. I will check out these performances in full at some point before the final, I can tell you that much. Here we go. Well, Stefan Raab is loving Feuerschwanz. That man looks exactly the same as he did all those years ago when Lena won. He doesn't seem to have aged much. Look at this. Very medieval in terms of the appearance, and I know they're a sort of medieval rock group. They've been going for a long, long time. It's a little bit silly, but it's a good time. Okay, pyro coming out of the guitars as well. Yeah, that might end up being one of my favourites, as I expected, to be honest with you. Next up is Benjamin. Now, he is through. Yes, he is. Okay, this is a low-key, soulful effort. Not sure about his face all over these screens. If anything, that's quite the distraction. Don't think that's in with much of a chance. Next up is Cloudy June. Okay, we've got a bed on stage, a couple of window frames. I like her look very much. She's enjoying it. That judge there. Okay, yeah, it feels a little bit dark, a little bit ominous, but not too over the top. Yeah, that was getting quite a bit of buzz, but it's out for whatever reason. Next up is Cosby with I'm Still Here. Topless drummer, pretty much. Okay, it's a sort of slight rock effort. Lots of red lighting here. She's in white. This sounds very familiar. It sounds a bit like that Benson Boone song, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Maybe that's a terrible comparison. Yeah, it does sound a tiny bit like that. Maybe it's just me. That's okay, but I'm not sure it's super competitive. Next up is Weg van Dier. This is out. Loads of microphones, very musty for Belgium last year. Okay, I can understand why that's out, because it's not really, doing anything for me in this snippet alone. Yeah, nice singer, somewhat disappointing track perhaps. Next up is From Fall to Spring. Oh, Smoke Machine's going overboard here. Yeah, okay. I didn't mind their previous effort for Germany, which I don't think made the final of the national selection that year, but it was a few years ago now. And that, to me, it sounds like a fairly ordinary sort of rock metal effort. Maybe there is a wow moment that I'm not seeing or hearing here. It's not bad, but again, I can sort of understand why that's out. Golden Child. Oh, this isn't too bad, actually. I know you're out, but you're going on the list. That was Jonathan Henrik. Wrote it himself. Feels quite tender. Not too bad. Next up is Abor and Tina. Oh, okay. We've got a guy on the strings here. Not sure what instrument that is. Looks like some sort of cello. Okay, I've seen a little bit of hype for that one, but that snippet didn't really do anything for me whatsoever. If anything, I thought the vocals needed to be a bit stronger. Anyway, next up is This Bliss. Okay, this is another quite soulful, diva-esque number. Quite brassy. That's not in with much of a chance, though. Next up is Empress by Julika. I'm not sure about this. I'm surprised that's gone through. I don't mind a slow track, but that really feels to me as though it's just going to, you know, meander along. Yeah, I'm not sure about that myself. Next up is Lovers on Mars. Now, this is the one that I said previously could be some sort of MGP Melfest reject. I'm just assuming. I'm not saying that it definitely is. Let's take a look. Okay. These two people here dangling down from the ceiling, that's a bit of a distraction. People will focus more on them than the song, potentially. Fairly mid-tempo, this. Needs more oomph. Really needs more oomph. Because at the moment it feels as though it's very diluted. Moss Kenner, Nothing Can Stop Love. Now, what does this sound like? Sounds a bit like an Ed Sheeran song. Oh, okay. Jurors might really like this because his vocals seem very impressive. But that's not terribly competitive in my opinion. The Great Leslie, here we go, These Days. Oh, get a load of the woman playing the bass. Not too bad, but again, there's no real competitive thing going on here with many of these. I'm not looking at them and thinking, yeah, you are in it to win it, which of course you sort of have to be. Next up is Golden Hour. This is the last one by Cage, who is out. Yeah, not bad. But again, at Eurovision, flat on its damn face, I would think. And obviously we don't have to worry about that because she's not qualified. Nice voice, quite relaxing to listen to. Don't mind this sort of watery effect on the stage floor. Anyway, I've written down two names. One of them's out. The other one is in. It's Feuerschwanz. And I'm calling it now. It is Nightclub or Bust Deutschland. It really is, I think so. Abor and Tina, maybe. I will check out the full thing there because I know some people are really enjoying that one. Liza, oh, I don't think so. Moskenna, maybe. But it's a 100% public vote. I think Feuerschwanz have got this all sewn up. Then again, if you're from Germany, maybe you've got a completely different opinion. But based on that batch, and it was not a bad batch, it wasn't brilliant, but it wasn't too bad. Feuerschwanz, they could win it by a damn landslide, to be honest with you. They really could. So that's the situation. I'm just going to take a look at ESC Marco. This is their ranking, so bear that in mind. Jaln last. Benjamin number 13. Curly hair, love it. Number 12, Great Leslie. Yeah, Leonora. Jonathan number 10, I wrote him down, but he's gone. Moss. Cage. Julika. Liza number 6. Oh, I tell you something, I bet that was in contention for another country. Fall to Spring. Feuerschwanz at Eurovision. I can see it now. Cosby, Cloudy June. Aborantina. Yeah, that's in with a good shot, actually. I think that's in with a fairly good shot. Let me just take a look at the comments on the first video I watched, and then we'll wrap this video up. Abor and Tina have to win. They've got a Hungarian link. Feuerschwanz. Yeah. As a German, my favourites are Moss and Liza. Really? Well, I don't know if I trust the Germans with a vote myself. But we'll find out on March the 1st. It is March the 1st, isn't it? You see, I've already forgotten. March the 1st, yes, there we go. This video is a total mess. But then again, that sums up the Eurovision season thus far, I suppose. Let me know what you think about the German contenders, especially if you are from Germany. And I'll be back with another Eurovision 2025 related video fairly soon. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye for now.